Now for something rather rare and something rather enchanting. It's one of the oldest tapes I have. Christmas Eve, 1964. ABC fed a live broadcast from the North Pole with Paul Harvey, who you will see turned out to be quite an actor in this. My research tells me that it had been done several years before and was repeated on various Christmas Eves. Not too many people have a tape of it. There are a few others here on YouTube I have found. Once I called ABC Radio to ask if they had a better quality copy so I could use it on the air. They said, "You have a copy of it?" I said, "Yes." They had just redone it and had to fake the script because they couldn't find the original of the show. So here we go. It's Christmas Eve afternoon, December 24th, 1965, as the ABC radio network goes live to the North Pole, and Paul Harvey.
Here at Santa's Polar Headquarters, it is at this moment just past 11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, Christmas Eve. It is dark. It has been dark since September. It is cold. That is, to me, it's cold. It's 64 degrees below zero outside our broadcast shack. This, I understand, is comparatively mild, but it's snowing tonight. It does not snow here often. Though there's always adequate ice on the polar cap, I understand from the Kringles that they have less snow here than we customarily have back in Chicago. Moments from now, I'm going to step outside this enclosure. The windows are so steamy and iced up so that you and I will have a better look at the takeoff of Santa's sleigh, which is presently in the final loading process. In the interim, and in behalf of the Hastings Manufacturing Company, which is making this remote origination possible, let me wish for you and for those you love everything that's good for you. And you filling station men back in the United States, take tomorrow off and eat too much and have fun. But before you lock up for tonight, be sure your regular customers have a can of Case-Eye tune-up in the crankcase, so they'll be sure of a quick start tomorrow. You'll be interested to know our Case-Eye is good for the little engines, too. The generator, which is making possible this broadcast from the North Pole, is one of a battery of generators which powers Santa's workshop, and I am assured that the lubrication of these engine parts at temperatures as low as 100 degrees below zero is ensured with Case-Eye additives. How about that? In the faint light of this Arctic night, I'm having some difficulty inside this radio shack with this glass window visibility again, so though my remarks may be less intelligible in the 45-knot wind that's swirling through the Santa land tonight, I'm going to step outside presently for a better view. The workshops opposite resembled a beehive when I arrived late this afternoon, your time, but one by one, the lights in those long buildings have been going out. Ladies and gentlemen, I just received word from the good St. Nicholas himself that his ETA over the USA will be 1:53 a.m. That's just, a little more than 4 hours from now. That means tailwinds are anticipated. We'd better get out on the loading apron beside the runway. If you can give me a little more mic cord, Dave Cole. Dave is another of the crew to whom we're indebted for absenting themselves from their stateside families this Christmas Eve to make this. By George! Can you still hear me? Commander Bumble. Can you hear? I can see you fellas through the swirling snow, but I'm going to assume that we're on the air. Santa's sleigh is still alongside the loading dock. Helpers are fussing with the 8 reindeer harness. Dunder and Blitzen and Dancer, as previously announced in the States, Rudolph is not going to lead the hitch this year. For the first time in 10 Christmases, Rudolph, whose red nose was a prime navigational aid for several of those years, is lame with a slightly injured fetlock, will stay behind. The newer navigational gear is under the front seat of the great sleigh. Radio contact will be maintained with remote control weather stations on the floating ice islands. These automatic devices have been made available by the United States Air Force. Actually, the sleigh will be in voice communication with Point Barrow shortly after gaining cruising altitude, but that's almost 1,000 miles away. I passed Point Barrow just as... Oh, here comes St. Nicholas! Here in the yellow lighted doorway of the Kringle residence, he's kissing Mrs. Kringle. He's kissing Mrs. Kringle, and she's smiling. She always worries until he's home safe, she says, but she's smiling. Look at the workshop elves. There must be hundreds, I erroneously indicated moments ago that there was no activity around here when the lights were going out, but the elves are all around the loading platform. Santa's waving and moving toward his sleigh on the steel net runway. It's still snowing slightly. Certainly those of us away from our families must be excused for saying this is a most momentous experience. I'm being motioned closer to the microphone. I can't get any closer. You take this thing up so the cold metal would not stick to my lips. And is this better? I'll hold the hood of my parka up here so that I'm cutting the wind a little bit. The mooring hawsers have been relaxed and tossed aboard now. As Santa's sleigh draws up this way, we can see the load of, oh my goodness, we have been assured it's a record-smashing capacity this Christmas, but the sleigh is piled approximately 40, maybe 45 feet high with packages. There's a tarp drawn tight. The elves here. Santa's waving. So long, Santa. Excellent snow landing conditions have been promised down through the Maritime provinces. Rooftop landings are practicable any weather with an air. And they're off. They're down the steel net runway, and they're off. I can see the running lights Mrs. Santa is outside the door in just a house dress. My goodness, she's waving. Santa's waving and saying something. Did you get it? I got it. I got it. Santa, who is now headed your way, had this to say: Merry Christmas to all, and to all, good night. From the North Pole, we return you now to your regularly scheduled programs.
Merry Christmas from the ABC Radio Network.
Amazing. Paul Harvey on the spot, live from the North Pole for all the kiddies, from Christmas Eve, 1965.